Alright, next up we have the Cleric. All the Clerics are basically the same. There are no disadvantages for any of these, if I recall correctly. All they do is give you a certain set of spells. So basically this means the only reason that you'd be a generic Cleric is if you're multi-classing. But if you're not multi-classing and you're either dual-classing or just playing a pure Cleric for whatever reason, you've got some options. Talos, I believe he's an evil god. That's the only downside, I guess. Talos is evil, Helm is neutral, Lavender is good. And I believe when you're making the character, you have to commit to one of those. So if you're Talos, you have to be one of the 3 evils, one of the 3 neutrals, one of the 3 goods. For Talos, you can cast Lightning Bolt and Storm Shield. Basically worthless, I don't know. Protects... well, no, it's not too bad, I guess. It's pretty handy against dragons, but dragons are a joke, so I wouldn't worry about it. Helm gives you True Sight. That's actually pretty convenient. Seeking Sword. This is kind of interesting. It's a +4, so it can hit everything in the game, including Demi-Liches, which can make killing Kangax a bit easier, but really... 2 to 8 damage to Kangax. You know, he's got 40-something HP, I think 43, but I wouldn't worry about it. Wouldn't worry about it at all. And then Priest of Lavender, Hold Undead as a special ability instead of having to commit spell slots to it would maybe make this better, but it's still not the greatest. Boon of Lavender, yeah, this is alright, I suppose. +1 to hit, +1 damage, and the extra attack per round is actually really nice, and negative plane protection, but really there's no reason for that. There are plenty of other options that you could use, so Cleric's pretty straightforward, definitely a good class, so don't be afraid to use that one. Alright, next up we have Druid. I don't really like Druids. I think the benefits of being a Druid are pretty marginal. They can shapeshift into, you know, bear form and some other forms, but there's really no reason. The item quality, especially in Baldur's Gate 2, is so high that you'd really be, you know, neutering your damage by giving yourself like 2d8 claws, I think, from the shapeshifter's werewolf form, or like you become a bear and I think you do 1d8. But Avengers, you can get a couple extra shapeshifts, which are crap. 6 mage spells. This is actually kind of interesting because Chromatic Orb can instant kill stuff once you're at like level 14 or something, maybe caster level 11. I honestly don't remember. I haven't abused that in a long time. But Web is crap. Lightning Bolts, there's a bug where you can basically make a lightning bolt hit something like a bajillion times and it's retarded, but don't do that. Improved invisibility, Chaos, Chain Lightning's actually pretty good, but you usually hit yourself because of how many times it bounces. They have to wear bad armor, and you get like a terrible penalty to this. There's no reason for that, so whatever. Shapeshifter, you can be a greater werewolf. When I was going through all the options in the fix pack, I did enable the correct shapeshifting. Like if you go and look up what this kit does in the handbook that comes with the game, it'll tell you that you can be a werewolf and it'll tell you what the benefits are, but it doesn't actually do that. Like instead of doing 2d8, you would do 1d6 with your greater werewolf form, and you wouldn't get your magic resistances, you wouldn't get +3 claws, you would get +1 claws, which made about a third of the things in this game completely immune to your damage. And it's really bad. And the disadvantages, no armor, come on, that's horrible. Your armor class is gonna be like maybe 0 if you've got high dexterity, and you can probably get it down to as low as -5, but why? Why would you do that? And no other shapeshifting, who cares? Totemic Druid, oh yeah, you get your spirit, whatever. Doesn't really do anything, guys, I'll be honest with you. Can't shapeshift, it's not really a disadvantage. So Druids, I don't really care for Druids, but on to Mages. Alright, next up is Mages. Mages is pretty straightforward. Basically, each of these, whenever you specialize, you get an extra spell of each of each magical level. Not every time you gain a level, but each magical level. So if you would have a level 1 spell and nothing else, you would have 2 level 1 spells. And then it gives you an opposition school that you aren't allowed to learn spells from. So what this means is that since all of the divination spells are terrible, if you're going to play a pure mage and you're going to make it your main class, you have no incentive to pick anything but Conjurer. Like I said, the only divination spell that's really good is True Sight, and if you form your party properly, that should be a non-issue. So definitely pick Conjurer, unless you plan on picking a Wild Mage. Wild Mages have a 5% chance to cast a random wild magic effect. It's, I don't know, it's kind of irrelevant, to be honest. I don't know why you would want to do this. But, you know, it's something. So, if you feel like it, you can do that. Going with a regular mage, yeah, like I said, just go Conjurer, guys. You only pick regular mage if you're multi-classing. So, don't even worry about it. Next up, Thief. Ah, Thief. Everybody's favorite. Some of the better things about these that are worth mentioning, when you disarm a trap and when you unlock a locked object, you get small amounts of XP. It actually probably adds up to 400,000 or 500,000 XP over the course of a game, so it's not totally insignificant, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. The real problem is that there are a few traps that are really nasty. Some of them petrify you, some of them even maze you. Like there's a trap guarding a mediocre horn that mazes you, and you just gotta scratch your head at that. But these guys can be really handy. They also get a backstab multiplier, which, well, let's talk about that in the context of the assassin. So backstab reaches ×7 instead of ×5. Basically, whenever you backstab, you multiply whatever damage you do by, well, whatever backstab multiplier you're at for your level. So if you're at ×5 and you hit for 7 damage, you know, you're hitting for 35. And that's pretty good, actually. You know, this extra multiplier, because that gets you all the way to 45, which is the difference between one-shotting a lot of casters. The thing is, you're never going to be hitting for 5 damage. You know, you're going to be hitting for like if you use the Staff of the Ram to backstab as a simple example, ignoring the dice roll, it's at a +12 modifier plus whatever your strength bonus gives you. So you're probably going to be hitting for 20 times 5 is 100, times 7 is 140 or whatever. It's totally ridiculous. And especially this +1 hidden damage helps with that. As far as this advantage goes, I thought this poison was a joke until I watched a run by Absolute Zero. I'll include that in a link to that in the video description, where he pointed out that a lot of things that you would expect to be immune to poison are in fact not immune to poison, and poison interrupts spell animations, I believe, is a bug. In official Dungeons & Dragons, that's not supposed to happen, but it certainly does here, and that makes this totally ridiculous. You can use it, I believe, on arrows as well, so that's nice. If you're gonna run with a pure thief, this is definitely one to consider. This barely matters. Yeah, it'll take you longer to max out your stats, but you know, by the time you're level 35 or so, this will be done and over. And really, you don't need most of the stuff ever. Like, if you've got anybody with True Sight, you don't need Detect Illusions. If you've got anybody with, like if you've got a Bard or anything else that can pickpocket, or really, you don't even need to increase your pickpocket because of how potions of Master Thievery work. So this is actually a really, really good class. Bounty Hunter's also pretty good. You get the bonus to trap setting, which is nice in the early game, and you get special traps. So they're more powerful. Not only, I think their base damage is a little higher, but they also give you some interesting effects. So you get a slow if saves failed. You get the hold person trap, which is really, really good. And then here you've got Mazing and Odaluk's Resilience Sphere. Usually if you pick Bounty Hunter, you're going to dual class out of it. So you'll be a human Bounty Hunter, and at 11th level you'll dual class over to Usually Mage is pretty good. I could see Cleric. Well, no, Clerics can't use bladed weapons. So this is, this is something to consider. Probably Mage. Especially if you're doing like a solo run, you could do a bounty hunter, get your disarm traps and detect traps, and then get your holding trap, and this can really demolish some stuff. Swashbuckler, it's kind of like a fighter that can disarm traps. You get the AC bonus. You get, and this is another interesting thing. You get a lot of AC bonus, and by level 40, 8 plus 8 to your armor class is actually kind of silly. So you can turn these guys into really hard to hit tanks, especially if you dual class out at like level, I don't know what level. You'd probably have to do like level 15 to get your +3 bonus to your armor class. That could be pretty sweet, actually, if you like go to, like I said, anything that can wear plate mail. So maybe Cleric even, if you just specialize correctly. +1 to hit and damage. Again, pretty nice. Unfortunately, you can't backstab, so that's kind of sad. But you can place 3 slots into 2-weapon fighting style, and you can put 2 slots into any weapons that a thief can normally use. So that's, well, it's something. I don't know. For me, I would probably go with Assassin if you're going to do this, but I'm going to be taking my main character as a Berserker dual-classed into Thief, and since you can't dual-class into a kit, it's just going to be a Thief, and I think that's good enough for me. Next up, another Thief-like class, the Bard.